Yo people, hope you're all doing well and welcome to a new video. In this video, we're going to look at how you can make a lot of gil using the gardening feature in Final Fantasy XIV. Gardening is a great way to grow specific important items that will sell on the market board for a lot of money. This growing process can take some time, so I will show you a step-by-step process of what I do when starting and managing my growths. Just a disclaimer, in order to be able to use the gardening feature, you will need to have your own house or access to an FC house garden. We all know the housing situation has been a bit of a joke recently, but I hope you all managed to get a house in the healthiest way possible. So speaking of gardening patches, you can get a few different sizes in your house, and the number of gardening patches you can have increases with the size of the house you have. So for example, if you have a small house, you can have only one of these patches. For medium, you can have two, and for a large, you can have 3 patches. The best gardening patch to get is this one. Just forget about all the other ones. It doesn't look the most aesthetically pleasing, but it gives you 8 slots per patch, meaning the biggest yield out of all of the options available. For the sake of this video, I'll be focusing on making Thav onions. The onions are used to feed to your chocobo in order to allow your chocobo to start gaining XP again after it hits max level. So as you can guess, these sell like hotcakes. Looking at the market board history, you will see that these sell consistently, and whenever I've grown some to sell, they've easily sold on the same day that I've listed them. So the way gardening works in Final Fantasy XIV is you have to crossbreed 2 different seeds for the chance to yield the specific item or seed that you want. Now to grow Thav onions, there are multiple different seed combinations that you can use, and this is where I'd advise you to look at a website called FF14gardening.com. I'll put a link in the description. The way I'll grow Thav onions is by using the Kazuo root and the Nymea lily seeds to crossbreed for a chance to get Thav onion seeds. But since I start my growth from the very beginning, I also grow my own Kazuo roots and Nymea lily seeds. Let me try and explain by showing you a picture of how my growth process works. To start off, I use cracker root and mirror apple seeds, which give you a chance of getting Kazuo root seeds. I then use almond seeds and mandrake seeds to give you a chance of getting Nymea lily seeds. So when starting, I use 4 cracker roots, 4 mirror apples, 4 almond seeds, and 4 mandrake seeds. I will then plant them in this format, and this is where the crossbreeding happens. So for example, I will start by planting 1 cracker root and then work my way clockwise with a mirror apple seed and then a cracker root and so on. Then on the next patch, I do the same with the almond seeds and the mandrake seeds. So one patch is growing Kazuo root seeds and the other patch is growing Nymea lily seeds. Now, when planting the seeds, you need to combine them with a type of soil. For this, I use the grade 3 Thanalan topsoil, which gives a greater chance of the crossbreed being successful. I've always used these and I've never had any issues, but if there are any other soils that you would recommend, please leave a comment below. You can either buy these from the market board or you can use your poetics to purchase unidentified ore in Mordona from this merchant, and then you can trade the unidentified ore for the topsoil in Idleshire. So if you've ever felt like you didn't know what to do with your poetics and you're trying to get into gardening, well, now you know. Now once you're done planting, you are now in the process of maintaining your crop. When selecting your crop, you should now see 2 options, one which is fertilizing and one which is to tend. Tend is the most important one, as this is basically where you water your crops. You will need to do this once every 24 hours to prevent your crops from turning bad, in other words purple. So just make note of when you've last watered your crops and make sure that you water them again before the 24-hour window ends. For fertilizing, this is something that can be done once every hour. Every time you fertilize your crops, you basically reduce the time it takes to grow by 1 hour. So this is more of an optional method when you're maintaining your crops. I think of this more like my retainers. So whenever I check in on my retainers, I also just make a habit of checking in on my crops and just making sure that I'm fertilizing them. I use the fish fertilizer, which you can buy from any of the housing NPCs in any of the housing districts. So once 5 days have passed, or sooner if you're fertilizing your crops more often, you should find that some of your crops are shiny and ready to be harvested. Harvest them and see how many Kazuo roots and Nymea lily seeds you get. I aim to get around 8 Kazuo seeds and 8 Nymea lily seeds before moving on to growing the Thav onion seeds. The reason I do this is because since yielding the seed you want isn't 100%, it saves you having to do the primary grow, which is the one I showed you. Again, replace the empty patches in your patch now with another 4 of the seeds that you just removed. So let's say you picked 4 of the cracker root seeds, just replace them with more cracker root seeds. This will then continue the crossbreeding of the other seeds. And like I said, you want to do this until you have 8 Kuriel and 8 Nymea Lily seeds. Once you have 8 of each, you now have 2 options. Since these seeds are used to grow Thavnarian onion seeds, they do sell for quite a bit, or they used to. Just check the MB to see how much they're worth and whether you'd rather just wait and grow them yourself. For me, it depends on the market and whether the time investment in waiting for the onion seeds at the time is worth it or not. Remember, with Thavnarian onions, they range from anywhere between what they are now, which is around 160k, all the way up to 500k, depending on what time of the patch or expansion it is. So it just really depends. So if you plan on growing the Thavnarian onion seed yourself, then basically just use the same method that I mentioned before. If you have 1 patch, then plant 4 of each and keep the remaining 4 to refill your patches when they are ready to harvest. The aim now is to reach 8 Thavnarian onion seeds. Once you have done this and have gathered your onion seeds, you can now plant these and expect a 100% success rate on yielding Thavnarian onions from the grow. The whole growing process from start to finish can take around 2 weeks or so. Growing the Thavnarian onion seeds alone takes around 10 days without fertilizing, so it is quite a long process. But the effort once you have planted your seeds isn't really much. You're now just required to log in every 24 hours and make sure that you're tending to your crops or watering them within a 24-hour window. What you can actually do is, if you're not going to be online, you can select someone in your friends list who you trust to look after your crops for you, and then you can maybe split the profits. And with that, our video comes to an end. I hope this was a short but precise example of how you can get into gardening, as it can seem a bit scary and overwhelming at first to understand. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more content. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.